podcast matching day, and it is our guest number 2, Anna Fuljens. So hang on in as we do our dance party, as we kick off guest number 2, Anna and Fuljens. Where we're going to talk about co-host. Oh no, co-host.
Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long, want you watch all night, 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 watch all night. Tell me, why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Baby, now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, all your love, all your love. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, all your love, all your love. Tell me, why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long.
Hey everyone, welcome to Straight Talk with Sally. We are on session number 2 of podcast batching day. It's been we've got an amazing lineup for you today. Now, if we don't yet know each other, I'm Sally, the founder of the Sparkle Class Academy, creator of the Freedom Funnel, and this is Straight Talk with Sally. We do a podcast batching day every 6 weeks, but we're squeezing 2 of them in before Christmas so I can take a break. So we've got 3 amazing guests lined up for you today. We finished recently with Laura from Shore, and up now we have the amazing Anna and Fuljens joining us. And then later on today, we will be talking with Stephanie. Now, if you love hanging out with us here in the Sparkle world and you want to make sure that you get notifications, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want to see all of our live events, go there to the calendar and it will show you all of the things. But let me tell you, today's guests, I'm so excited to have them on. Both of these huge, amazing people that I fell in love with back when I made 2022 the year of eCam. I had the software for about 12 months before I did anything with it. It petrified me, and I just didn't have the time, really, to sit down and figure things out. And that's when I discovered these 2 people who allowed me to take a boring face to camera into all this amazing goodness that you see on screen. So they're an amazing duo. Anna herself is a photographer, so we can geek out on lights, photography, lenses. I'm going to find out if she's a Nikon or a Canon girl. She's a video producer, a digital marketing specialist, and she's the founder and CEO of GIL Photography. She's a creative director and the host of Officially Unofficial TV and the co-host of 2 shows over on the eCam network, and one of which is as you all know, one of the best video production pieces of software for the Mac. That's what makes all this awesomeness happen. And she has a passion for helping others to overcome mental health challenges, and she's a strong advocate for technology awareness in the cyber security space, which we know is so important these days, right? With all the crazy that's happening on around the world. And her other half, Fulgens, he is the co-host of also the Ecamm Network Nightly News with Anna and Building Blocks. That's where I discovered them. Featured on the Ecamm Network, he helps entrepreneurs, faith-based community organizations, and is the executive and he helps to really elevate people in this virtual hybrid programming platform. He's also had 12 years experience working with non-profit, and if you want to dance around, get all hot and sweaty, he is the producer of Fit BK, a 9-year community fitness program that you'll find over on YouTube. But together, these two amazing people make a great team, educating, entertaining communities all over the internet. I hope I've given done their introduction justice, because I want to introduce you both, or everybody out there in cyber world, to Anna, GIL, and Fulgens Henry. Hey guys! I need to find my little button over here. I think it's no, that's the scary one. No, not that one. That's the one. Yay!
There you go.
Hello, Sally. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. I loved all the little challenges you had me doing with the whole building blocks side of things, my little triangles and how everything pops in and out of the screen. And so when, I reached out to get you on the show, I was so happy. And, I had some really fun with your heads at Christmas time, making them
You did.
dance around
That
the
was
screen.
great.
Good times.
That was great.
One way to get people's attention is make their heads dance around on the screen. So before we get into today, because having a co-host, I look at the two of you and, I saw when you got engaged, I'm like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And then seeing look at that, flash and the bling. I don't wear mine anymore.
Sparkle matches with your whole branding.
I know, right? The bigger the better. And but, I look at the two of you and I think, oh, wow, right? The relationship, the partnership, your on-screen presence is so awesome. My husband doesn't talk, right? When we met, he said to me, I've got plenty of time to tell you. We've got lots of time. And I still don't know anything much about him because we don't have long conversations. So I look at the two of you and I'm like, whoa, that little bit of jealousy. He does all the things. He washes, cleans, brings me coffee, feeds me, even puts my shoes on if I need him to or want him to. But watching the two of you together. So share with us, your journey to each other. I would love to know about that before we get into today's content.
Yeah, our journey to each other. Wow, that's a great way of putting it there, Mrs. Sally.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we met in the Ecamm Live community. Ecamm Live community brings more than a great software. They bring great people together.
How
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, Fulgens.
No, this was during Vlogmas of 2020 Vlogmas.
Yeah.
And we were still, everyone was still at home during a lockdown over here in New York, and Vlogmas had just started. I was doing a lot of producing video content for my nonprofit at the time, and I used that for my Vlogmas challenge, and I was creating content every single day for, as you just mentioned, FitBK, our fitness program that was no longer able to provide services in person. So we took it virtually, YouTube, Zoom, even Twitch. Thanks to Ecamm, we're able to stream to wherever we want, right? So that was great. But for myself, or for Vlogmas, there was something more fulfilling, was being inspired by other content creators who were in front of the camera. And I was always behind the camera. And I just got that push. I got that bug. I got that FOMO. I was like, you know what? December 8th, 2020, I'm going to click the go live button and I'm going to be in front of the camera. I'm going to go live into the Ecamm Live community, introduce myself and showcase the graphics that I'm creating with Ecamm and all that stuff. That was my excuse to go live. So
That's a good thing.
during that time, some members came out and they were very supportive of me going live, which was great. And there was an avatar there, just this white circle, and it said officially unofficial. And I was mentioning I was inspired to create graphic designs by Bradley Vincent. And officially unofficial TV said, me too. And I said, oh, that's something that we have in common. Great. So I like, here's another Bradley Vincent student here. Great. And so that was December 8th, 2020. And I felt good about myself. I finished my live stream. I was successful. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this again. I can't wait. 2 days later, somebody shared in Facebook that, hey, officially unofficial TV is live. Go check it out. I was like, I know officially unofficial TV. They were supporting me on my live stream 2 days ago. Let me go check it out. And I clicked on it and there she was.
Aww.
And, there was an instant, traction there. And I just wanted to know this woman. I want this woman to know me. I wanted to work with her. And based on what she was, what her show was about, I was so involved and I engaged and I just wanted to really work with her. And then that was it. And we made a connection there. However, it wasn't until the end of December and beginning of January, everybody was on Clubhouse.
Yes,
everybody was the Clubhouse era. The Clubhouse era was really cool. So January 2021, during the Clubhouse era,
You know the date.
yeah, it was January. It was January 2021.
Okay.
And we were all doing, voice messages and whatnot. So Clubhouse, got us to communicate each other via voice messages. But we wanted to work together on different projects, on a mental health project, to do some mental health shows with Official and Official, my nonprofit, and her show. And we started collaborating that way. And we started sending each other voice messages, got to know each other much better through Clubhouse, Facebook Messenger, and whatnot. And then that same month, Anna was designing graphics for Official Unofficial, and she wanted some way to simplify something at the time. And I was like, hey, we can do this in Ecamm. Let's set up a meeting and let's just hop on and get this started. And we just had a breakthrough that same meeting where we found out how you can group text together and create text boxes and have them fly in and put them in a folder. And we were like, oh my God, we need to share this with the community right now. We went live into Doc Rock's group and we did this 2-hour stream where we're showing people how to do it. Everybody was like, oh, and we were so motivated by that and moved by that we said, you know what, the next day, let's take a step further. Let's go live in the Ecamm Live community and show the entire community how to do this. And
when you go live in the Ecamm Live community, it's a big deal.
Right. So we did it. And Katie, the director of marketing for Ecamm, was there, and she was like, what? Right. So she was taken away by what was going on. And she didn't know that, you could have this amazing breakthrough with the text overlays in Ecamm and whatnot. And it's gone such a long way from there. So imagine then in January 2021, what we were able to do then. And then somebody sent us a message saying, listen, there's a lot of talk going on right now. You guys need to basically pitch your own show. And then we said, you know what, let's just do this. And Building Blocks was born February 2021. And we've been developing our relationship since there. And our chemistry was there and everything from the start. And that's how we grew together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good. All those little steps and all the little pieces of software that kind of brought you two together. I remember the Clubhouse days. I was closing a client that I met in Clubhouse after about 3 days of no sleep in the dark on my phone. I walked into a wall and I had no idea where I was in my own house.
Oh my God.
because it was crazy back when Clubhouse first launched. People were just falling asleep with it, waking up with it, showering with it.
Yeah. People were investing in Apple products just because of the app.
They were.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've still got relationships that I made. I spent a lot of time in the millionaire one with it's right on the tip of my tongue. I still chat with them now, but I made so many connections in there. And look,
Yeah.
you look at the connection you guys made. Amazing.
Absolutely.
And then Ecamm, I mean, I can't believe I had this software for 12 months just sitting on my computer and I never really utilized it because I was like, I just don't have the bandwidth to learn.
So now let me ask you, once you opened it, because that's usually right where people think that it's going to be a elaborate process or a huge learning curve when they get Ecamm. Was that so for you?
Yeah, it was more like, what do all the things do? Right? Because I'd never worked in like production of like online, like I literally Be Live was about as fancy as I got.
Okay. It's not bad.
Right? It was pretty fancy.
Yeah.
And then and there's all these floating windows everywhere. And I'm like, what do all the things do? And as a designer, I loved it. And it works very much like Photoshop and Illustrator with all the layers and all of those things. But it was just really time because I've got to run a very busy business doing all these other things. It was more of the time factor. But once I watched a few, because it started with you guys, with building blocks. And I saw you in the Ecamm community just building squares and triangles. And I'm like,
we were speaking your language, Sally. So you're like, yo, yes.
Right. And then I saw it when, transitions started to come in when they weren't happening. And then you were using like little dancing things at Christmas time. And I'm like, I can do that. And that's when I was like, okay, now I'm going to show my Canva stuff alongside of it. And so I made a little dancing heads and I'm like, they'll see me.
You should have brought it here, Sally, so you can show your viewers like what cool stuff you did.
We'll have to go hunt. I will go and hunt for the first ones. It'll be somewhere in the Ecamm community where we've got the little, you and Doc Rock as well. Because after I started watching the two of you, you mentioned Doc Rock and I'm like, okay, well now I need to go and find out who this Doc Rock guy is. And I'm like, yeah, he's my jam as well, like real playful, and that's what I really enjoyed. Yeah, everything starts with squares and triangles. Hey, yes, and a few circles. Thank you, Paul.
That's right. That's right,
Paul.
I love it. And so then I saw his like tutorial and I'm like, oh, this is great. Now I'm understanding not just the building blocks part, but like some of the techie things in the background. And and I think knocking on the door every time he said you could come and join him in a live stream, I would, so that he could teach me a few more things in the settings that I just couldn't figure out. Because I was going live like this and my viewers, my guests couldn't see what the screen looked like. They could only see themselves. And I'm like, I know there's a way, but I just can't find the thing.
Right.
So I just jumped in, asked Doc, and we just got on really well from the start. And and now I love the Ecamm fam. I just, they're amazing. And it's, there's a few communities that you spend your time in because there's so many online communities.
Yeah.
And, I choose the ones that I spend with wisely, and I love the Ecamm community. I do a lot of stalking, right? So I will watch, but I'm like listening and I'm no tippy-tap typing, but I'm there watching, supporting, thumbs up, those types of things. But yeah, you guys are like watching that, and then you got the news one as well, and it's so good what you've been able to achieve with Ecamm. So you must be so proud of,
Yeah, we definitely are. We definitely are
Absolutely.
super proud of everything of Ecamm and making Ecamm is amazing. It's an amazing software. It's an incredible community,
Community.
supportive
Yes.
community, as you know, Sally. And it's like everyone is there to see you win and to help you out when you need it. So it gives you the confidence to just go on and do the things that you thought that you couldn't do. Just
Right.
like you were mentioning, oh my gosh, I want to do the broadcast. How do I do it? And it was as simple as asking or joining a stream in the
Yeah.
Ecamm fam.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful for the team at Ecamm, Katie and Doc and Caleb and everyone else at Ecamm, and and we had the idea, and they're just like, sure, they're just like, we're gonna support you 100%. Go do your thing, engage with the community, and let it grow organically, and just amazing. Like we
Yeah.
just create these ideas, and they support us, and they let us develop it live on a weekly
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I sat through some of those long building sessions where you're just figuring things out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then other people get in and they figure things out and show you, and you're like, oh, that's so cool. And then you go and
Yes.
find how to do it as well. So
Yes.
yeah, it's such an amazing piece of software that really isn't that complicated to use once you understand the basics.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we could talk all day. I feel like we could just sit here,
Right.
let's like order lunch, have a glass of wine.
A cup,
still on the
of
coffee.
water.
I'm still on the coffee.
What time is it over to you?
It's
Over you?
It's nearly 11:30 in the morning. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I hear the
okay.
door to my office opening. That might mean more coffee. He's amazing, my husband.
Awesome.
Oh, no, he's coming like this. No coffee. He must have come out here to get something for himself.
No, he heard what you said about him not. He said,
Oh, he always hides behind the camera. Funny thing is, though, he's actually on television here in Australia, but when I'm on live stream, he doesn't come on camera. So,
it's like enough of
I'm
TV.
off duty.
yeah, pretty much. Okay, we have a topic. We actually have a topic to talk
do.
about
We
about
do.
working with a co-host. So I would love to chat with you both about working. What are some pros and cons about having a co-host that you work with?
Yeah. So that is like a two, it has two parts, right? Because one of them for us, I mean, you work with us, we have co-hosts, we co-host together, but we're also in a relationship. Right. So that is a different dynamic that if you just had a co-host and then after that you're done and then they go on the spot and you go on the other one. So there are two different sets of pros and cons about that, right?
Yeah.
So if we take it for you working with your partner, and your partner is also, and your intimate partner, that is challenging, but at the same time, there's a goal that needs to be achieved, right? There's a goal, and then we're both know that goal. And for that, we just have to really develop and actually kind of like assign our goals for it to be like, okay, this is what you do, what you're really good at and you enjoy, and this is what I do and I'm really good and I enjoy, right? So the cons of it is that, and for right, for me, you can tell your pros, but is that we can balance the workload. That is because it takes a lot to produce a an engaging show. It takes a lot. You need to do a lot of things in it. And then the promotion and designing the scenes and coming up with the content and all of that, right? So for one person to do all of that, it can be done for sure, but it's better if you share that workload with somebody else, right? So that is where the pros of having a co-host, right? What about you?
Yeah, and then it's something too. It doesn't happen overnight. This is something that definitely takes time as we get to know each other and build chemistry with each other. We also get to learn each other's strengths and weaknesses. What am I good at? What am I not so good at? What I don't like to do versus what are you good at and not so good at? And what do you like to do? And this way we're able to identify what workload is going to go to me versus what workload is going to go to you. and also, for the benefit of our shows that we put
Right.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is actually the key. For example, if you're considering having a co-host, you have to make sure that that person is on your level and this has the same goal and understands the goal of the podcast or the video podcast, right? You have to be on the same page. Otherwise, it's really going to be challenging, and at the end of the day, it's going to end up not dissipating. It's gonna
Hmm.
you're gonna break apart if you don't have the same goals, if you don't share the same things.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is assign roles.
Hmm.
Right? When you assign roles and the other person knows what they're doing, and then they bring the dynamics together, and it works. There are challenges. There are challenges even after assigning roles, and there are challenges, but they're less, and they can be, overcome, and they can be talked to, and all of that great stuff.
Yeah. In order for workflow to continue flowing,
Mhm.
the roles need to be defined and need to be clear and understood and acknowledged by both sides.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
That's super. I love that you know exactly who's responsible for what. I mean, my
Yeah.
husband and I cannot work together at all. I mean, I love him. I love him dearly. But I mean, even just when it comes to getting into Photoshop, I will want to click that way and he'll want to click the other way. Or we do not work together. We have both worked from home together, and we used to be in the same room together for 20 years almost. But we cannot do or be in the same business working on the same project because we feel like we're butting heads, and it feels like every time we tell somebody something, it's like you're telling them off. So I love that. What have you assigned for each of yourselves and actually said, okay, this is my role, and so this is Anna's role, and this is Fulgence' role. What are your roles?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I love researching. Like, I get such a high out of researching and learning new things, and I could read forever, and I could come up with different things in different ways. Fulgence, on the other hand, can design forever. He can sit down the entire day and peacefully in his laptop just design things.
Build
Build
blocks.
it. Yeah.
Build blocks.
He can build blocks. He can, he will be happy with spending the entire day just looking at the signs. Me, that's like, okay, you know what? That's awesome, but I want to learn new things. I want to jack new things. And then that's our role. So usually what happens is that I do the content creation of things. So I get everything organized and I know what's going to be on each of the shows. And then Fulgence goes, okay, so what do we need for this? And then we talk about what we need in terms of graphics. And then he goes on and designs it.
So Anna's putting the run of show on paper, then I create the visuals for that. So how do we visualize the run of show in Ecamm itself throughout each scene and the overlays for each scene?
Yeah. I love design, but I've had to let it go because there's other things I could be doing. But yeah, I think I'm the same as you, Fulgence. I could sit, and I do sit for hours designing things. I call it my creative avoidance time, where I need to get things done for the business, but I'll design something for the business so that I can have a rest from the daily ongoing things. So that's my relaxation time. I could just sit there and make pretty things all day. Reading, on the other hand, no. Let me put the sound in my ear or watch a video. But when it comes to reading, that is definitely not my thing. I like to take really complicated things and simplify them with pictures.
Got it. Okay. I mean, that's it. That's another way. I mean, we all have our creative outlets,
Yeah. I love that though. So if people are thinking about, finding themselves a co-host, what would be some tips that you would suggest for them if they were out there looking to add a co-host to their shows?
Yeah. So I would say just talk about their experience. right? Like what have they done? What have they doing? And why would they like to be a co-host? If they want, because there are different reasons why someone might want to be a co-host. It could be because they want to develop something and grow something and help people. And all of these core value things will stay with you if that's what you want to do. But if it's for cloud, for example, I want to be famous, I want to be famous, I want to be in YouTube, I want to be on Instagram, I want to be, that is not an enough reason to build a really strong relationship, business relationship, especially in a strong show, right? That's not a strong foundation. So you have to have a co-host who believes in your values, who shares the values with you, and who wants to do something with you to grow, to help people. Whatever it is that the show is going to be about, they want to help people, and it's going to make them feel good to do this. And that will be great, right? So that will be one, my first tip on that. The second one would be define roles. Because when there's something going on, and that ego is tricky. I'm gonna tell you, the ego just gets in and does things. So you have to make sure that you get your ego checked and define roles, right?
Yeah.
And then be open for new ideas, be open to criticism, to constructive criticism, right? And you do that by talking to that person over and over again. It's not going to be something that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're great, we get along great for coffee, let's do a podcast together, girl. Or, but you know what, like it's not like that. We like, the chemistry is awesome, but the chemistry is going to be overtaken, right, by your core values. So you have to make sure your core values are strong enough and they match. And then if that is there's a good chance for success when it's co-hosting.
Yeah, and it also goes to niching down and your content as well. For example, because Anna has her own show, Efficient Official, and I'm currently developing a live show called Haitian Creators Live. And then it's targeting the Haitian community, Haitian diaspora, and that's very niche, right? So my co-host for that show, he's Haitian, and we have similar backgrounds where I worked in a nonprofit sector with providing health and social services. He's also has a health and social services background, nonprofit background. So that is a great match. And he also hosts his own shows where he's interviewing people from the Haitian community. So that is an excellent match right there. And we have perfect synergies where we can create content together. So and so it goes back to niching down, somebody who can actually complement your niche and complement your content.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love that the values, right? I think everything will come back to that. All roads lead to the values, because your goals, your roles, everything leads back there, and you can learn your roles, and you can figure out your niche along the way, but values are the things that drive you. They're the inner part of you. And if your values don't align, it will show through, right? I mean, when we bring people into our community and we interview them before they can come in and join our program, because we need to make sure that their values are aligned to ours, that we have that feeling. I know it's a bit woohoo, but that feeling that they're going to, and you said it beautifully, want to help others. Right? Because what we do, it's not for the money.
Right.
We do it because there's a bigger, greater good to it. And it's about helping people. Now, the money's great, don't get me wrong, right? And it took me a while to get to that point, but right. But I did it for a very long time with no money, because it was that greater purpose, the value of wanting to really help and inspire people. And I think that what you said there, Anna, that was, spot on, right? And having that chemistry, watching you work together is really lovely. It's like you speak and now you. And then you speak and now you. It's very light, and you give each other the opportunity, right? It's so lovely to watch.
I mean, and that's what it is. Like, it's chemistry is there, core values are there, But the core values is just like you mentioned, what brings us back to and ground us, because we have had, some misunderstandings, some conflicts, and we don't agree on specific way of doing things, but the goal and the values are still there.
Yeah.
So that brings us back to what it is that we want to do, and it settles the conflict by itself because we have one common goal, right?
Yeah.
So that's usually what.
Yeah, we can be be having the worst day ever.
Yep.
We are not on the same page whatsoever, but we're gonna hit that go live button.
Yes.
Hey everyone, we're here. My name is Adam here. I'm Fulton Segway. We're here. And they're like,
Hey,
oh my God, thank you so much. It was great.
Well, you looked in at that time to do that thing, and you were in separate rooms, not talking 2 minutes ago, and nobody knows.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly right. That's the reason we have this goal. We want to help people. We want to show you what you can do with this amazing piece of software, Ecamm Live, right? We want
Yeah.
to show you all the things. We want to show you what's going on in the world of live streaming so that you can then maybe take that piece of information, bring it to your show, and develop it even further. So that is our goal. We want to teach. We want to help people. So we go there, and then
Yeah.
we go and we deliver that goal. And then you're just like, don't talk to me, brother.
Separate bed for you
Don't talk
tonight.
to me. Talk to the camera. Don't talk to me.
Well, talking about that, how do you handle disagreements between you? Like especially having to hit that button and come on. That can be I could see that could be difficult at times.
For Fulgence and I, it's usually like we have like the more we work together, the more we get into our own grooves, right? So I am a spur of the moment woman. I like to do things like it's just so exhilarating to do things where you don't know what's gonna happen. So then you know how you're gonna react. So to me, that's so amazing. To Fulgence, it is not. He wants to know what's happening every single moment and all of that. So I used to change things at the last minute because I thought
still do.
well, but not so much. I try not to do it so much, but like he's like, "Can you just don't do this?" And then I'm like, "Okay, but it looks good." And it ends up working when I do stay firm on this is what we should do. It ends up working, and he sees it after. But I try not to do that so much because I know that he doesn't work well on that type of situation. So that I tried doing it before. And when I do change something, I don't tell him. So I just do it live, and then he just has to do it.
I love it. Oh, baby, you're just like me. I make my mind up where I'm going 5 minutes before I go there. I used to leave my homework till the night before or sometimes the morning of. It'll work itself out. My husband's name is Danny, and I just say Dan, the man with a plan. It has to be in a spreadsheet, organized. I mean, and that's why on the TV show, he's very good at producing the show because he's got to organize all the locations he's going to, where all the stops and where the eating place. Like, he wants a plan. Dan, the man with a plan. And I'm like, let's just get in the car and go. And if we forgot something, we'll buy it on the way.
It's just so great, but like I have learned that I was like, okay, I don't want to see him sweating so much, so I don't do it. I would like take care of it. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And then towards the end, I don't tell him. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I just make sure that I click myself.
I love that. Look, guys, I love that you guys are being really vulnerable and sharing, all of the secrets, the fact that what happens behind the camera as well, because, it isn't an easy thing, especially, working together and being a couple. You can't just go home and complain to your partner because your partner is at home.
Right.
That is right. But then, sometimes afterwards, what happens is that because we love and we have that goal and we receive that feedback, that live feedback from our viewers that are getting exactly what our goal is, right? And they're getting it and giving us that feedback afterwards, right? We're like, okay, good. So we're good and all of that. So that actually gives us a little bit of like connection back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then that, so it's like back and forth and things like that. So, that's what you have to be. That's why having a shared goal and similar values is so important, because that is what's going to bring you back when
Right.
those moments
Right.
happens.
And and it's natural, right? Because like a disagreements, arguments happen in a relationship. That's a natural relationship stuff. But
Right.
what's cool about it is that we go live and then our mood just changed because we're with the Ecam family, we're in the community, we're doing our thing, we're in our element, and we have the passion for what we're doing, and the energy just shifts.
Mhm.
And then like sometimes on good days, the energy will continue after the stream is over, after we end broadcast, and then
Nice.
like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it just continues. But then there'll be some days where it's like, okay, the stream is over and broadcast, and we're just like,
We
what,
go
I'm
back
still
to
not
like,
talking to you. And we're
listen,
just
go back to your couch, brother.
Oh, I love that. I love the energy after, though, when everything just keeps on rolling when the cameras go off. So,
Yeah.
yeah, keep those cameras off, though, guys, okay?
We have to check. Sometimes we're like, okay, are we off? And we're like, okay, when we see that message that Ecam sends and goes, show us over, view your live stream.
Right,
We're
you
like,
have to
okay,
wait.
we're off.
Oh, dear. So funny. So funny. It's great. I love having you guys on the show. This is so funny. We could talk for hours, I think. And yeah,
Absolutely.
we're going to have like a get together with the Ecam fam. And
For
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Hi,
I'll get.
Gretchen.
Yes, maybe we'll get like a whole Ecam fam thing on Straight Talk with Sally one day, and we'll
Oh
have
my
you
gosh,
all
that
over
would be
the
so
screen.
awesome.
That would
That'd
be
be
so
great.
much
That would
fun.
be-
Yeah. Okay, so we have sparkle questions that Ma always lines up for me to ask you guys, and so these are a little off topic in regards to like the topic that we've started with. So I'm interested to know what did you want to be when you were younger, and has that showed up today in what you do?
Yeah, so I want to say yes, it has shown up. I used to, when I was little, I used to produce um a lot of like horror haunted houses in my backyard, right? So I used to be
cool.
like, you're gonna go here, you're gonna come, and you're gonna show up, and when they come over here, and then you're gonna give them, you're gonna ask them for 25 cents, and then they're gonna come in. If they want to go to a different house, they have to pay 15 cents extra. Okay, you got that? So I used to do
Upsell.
all of that right then. And so my family, just like knowing that I'm an entrepreneur, knowing that I'm working for myself and I'm creating things and I'm helping people and I'm bringing people excitement and I'm entertaining them and I'm educating them, that has been since I was little. So watching myself going through that sometimes is so humbling, to be like, oh my gosh, like that was who I was meant to be. Like I was meant to be this. I'm in my element. So what else can I do on that same element? So I want to say I'm actually living what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's
So
so good.
that's yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's something that developed a little bit later because growing up in my household, it was like, you're gonna grow up to be a doctor, right? So that's how it started, right? And I didn't want to do any of that, but thankfully, through my nonprofit work, I worked with a variety of doctors. I made my parents proud, great. But somewhere along the line, I wanted to do something in
You work with doctors.
right, for doctors, with doctors. But I wanted to do something along the lines of media, right? I wanted to do something in the media field, whether it's being an on-air personality, working behind the scenes, like that passion started to grow. I went to school for advertising, public relations, media, communication arts. I wanted to do something in the world of media. I didn't know what it was, and that passion started to grow stronger and stronger. I got more involved with media through my nonprofit, and to the point where I want to do something like I want to create a news show. And I'm over here creating news type shows and things behind the camera for other people. And I never thought that I would be the one in front of the camera delivering a news type show. So, yes, I am totally living my passion right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
that is
that.
funny because we're actually like doing the same thing. Like he's doing the graphics and the media and all that stuff, and I'm doing the entertaining, the production. That is what helps our energy
Yeah.
be the way it is because
Right.
we're both in our element. We're
Yeah.
both bringing out what we like to do.
Yeah. And not only, on the weekly shows of ECAM and building blocks, but we also do this in our local community as
Right.
well. So
Yeah.
it is just and the passion just continues
Yeah.
outside of ECAM.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love. I've made my parents proud now because I've worked beside doctors with doctors, but you didn't have to become the doctor. So we've got to make them happy, and then we get to do our thing.
Right.
So
And then we get to exactly.
Hey mom, hey dad, I'm interviewing Dr. Sally.
Yeah, right. Hey, I got a Dr. Sparkle, my bot who turns up. That's as close as I'm going to get to a
Right,
doctor.
exactly.
And Anna, you remind me of me. I was an entrepreneur from a very young age. I was buying things at local markets because my grandparents had a market stall, and they would have to be the first people in the gate. So we would be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, waiting to be the first in the gate to set up. But the thing is they were there every week. It was their spot, regardless of whether they came early or not. And if somebody arrived before them the next week, they'd have to get there at 4 o'clock so that we got in the gate first.
Right.
But then I had hours to spend walking around while watching people set up, and I'd go buy things from other people's tables and bring them back to Nan and Pa's stand, up the price, and sell them.
Yes.
And to the point, I was buying there were these little yin yang bracelets back in the 80s that you would clip together, and it was made out of, I don't know, some material stuff. Anyway, I was selling them on the playground. And the entrepreneur in me, just like you, if you go into the other house, it's an extra 15 cents. It was the same size band, but they had either 1, 2, or 3 colours. So 1 colour was $1, 2 colours was $2, 3 colours was $3. Right? Same material, but upsell, baby. And everyone wants the 3 colour one because it must be better because it's $3.
I love it. I love it. Now, were they pink, purple, and yellow?
Oh,
Were those
pink,
colors
purple,
there?
and blue is my baby. Yeah, all of the colours. I found a box of them. A woman came in, and it was a huge box for 20 cents each. So I bought the whole box from her, and I made a killing. Such a big profit. 80 cents or, $1.40. That's okay. That was back in the day when you used to have to walk into the bank and like hand a book over and they'd write in it to put deposits to save. And
Oh my gosh, the days, though.
now I'm giving away my age. Oh dear. So, okay. So there's always 3 questions. The next question is, I would love to know, because you're a reader, and whether you're a reader or a listener, I'm a listener, but what would be 3 books that you would recommend that have, been and had an impact on you and maybe, the person you are or the way you run your business?
Yeah, I want to try to remember. I know the title. I don't know the author though, but it was The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. That was the title of the book. And I've read that book so many times, Sally, and you guys. I was dissecting every single, every time. It's like watching a movie, right? You watch a movie, and then the next time you watch it, you get something different. And it was amazing. And applying the principles of that book, because I believed them, right? It transformed the way I thought. It transformed the way I thought, not only in my personal life, but in my business life. I was in the IT industry as a sales rep and technician. And it was an amazing book. It was an incredible book. So that book I attributed to learning how the subconscious mind works and what we could do when we tap into it.
So
Right.
powerful.
So
Yeah.
so that's definitely one. And then another one, it was my dad. He was the greatest salesman ever. And he recommended the How to Make Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I read that book as well, and it was great. I loved it. because it has some different principles, and the principles in that book also it was touched on the subconscious, the power of the subconscious mind, but in a different way. So it kind of backed each other up, and it gave me even more strength on the things that I could do when I believed in myself, when I believed in the principles of the universe, when we believed and follow the rules that are in the universe here for us.
Yes.
That was an incredible 2 books.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And what about
Yeah.
you, Fulgens? What were some books that have inspired you?
Well, this is a book I can recommend that I'm reading now or trying to read now. Is Taming Your Inner Gremlin. And
Gremlin. Okay.
yeah, taming your inner gremlin, and and like a coping mechanism to identify your inner gremlins as a actual gremlin, right? So
Yeah.
the things that you tell yourself like you cannot do, or your anger issues and whatnot, or even imposter syndrome. A lot of us content creators go through
Yeah.
that now. You could and label that as a gremlin, and how to identify that and be able to control it and go through it, and have the real you show up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm going to have to look that one up. I call it it's like a little person sitting on my shoulder, the little
Yeah.
itty bitty shitty committee. And I'm like, flick that little bastard off.
And something though, like that little crazy little thing right there telling things is the same energy. The same energy is like, actually, because it's negative, it's stronger, but it's the same energy in a way that the positive energy has. So if you take, and this I learned from both of those books, and if you take that energy, right, and you kind of learn how to channel it, that energy can actually do a lot of great things for you, because
Yep.
it is a stronger energy. It is a stronger source. So if you learn how to take that negative energy and just kind of like guide it to a positive path, oh my gosh, the things that it
Yeah.
can do. So
Right.
It's so powerful. The power of the mind and being able to, we can't control that crazy thought that pops into our brain, or that feeling and that emotion that hits us. But we can control what we do with it.
Yeah.
We could crawl under the covers and go Netflix for a month, or an afternoon, and say, okay, I'm done. I've done my binging of Breaking Bad or something, and now I need to get up and do some other things to pull myself out of it. And,
Right.
at the end of the day, when we close our eyes, it's just us.
Yes.
Sometimes you've got somebody spooning you from the back going, hey, come on. But, but in our brain,
Listen.
only us. One of my coaches in our business, she's been trying to get me, because I've got lots of pain issues, and she's like, I want you every morning, just before you wake up, picture yourself walking really fast and running with ease. And so I've been trying to do that every morning before I wake up. And I've been reading a book myself recently called something about lucid dreaming. I'll have to find the full title. But about how being able to take control of your dreams and know you're dreaming, and actually train yourself to do things that you would not normally do. And there's been studies in this, like athletes being able, for those that are just sitting there thinking about the thing or trying to dream about the thing, actually have bigger and better outcomes by learning how to lucid dream. So have you guys ever lucid dreamt before?
I have, but not consciously, but I can guide it that way, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, when I was in college, I was taking karate, and we were coming up, we were doing there was going to be a tournament. So we're reviewing the katas, and we're just, doing it over and over and over again. So after I went to class and I physically perform the movements of the kata to learn it, I will go home and I start thinking about them, how and mentally just start just doing it mentally. So I connected my physical world to my mental world. And let me tell you, I didn't know this. It was just happening just like organically. I didn't know this. So when I went to that tournament, Sally and you guys, listen, I surprised myself. All the movements were fluid. It was just like everything was connected. Of course, I got first place.
Yeah,
and it was
baby.
just like I was like when I was bending down and doing the katas, with the legs, and my legs were just like flexible. I'm like, what is going on? And it's incredible. So yes, if you learn how to do lucid dream consciously,
Yeah.
listen,
So
the
good.
power.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
Paul, yes, solve problems in lucid dreaming. So actually,
Oh my gosh,
it is
Paul.
so good.
Nice.
Okay, now we're on that track. I'm just going to look up the name of the book because it's really good. But also, the reason why I started was one day I lucid dreamed a few times and realized I was dreaming, but could never really hold it. But one day I had a dream and I knew I was dreaming. 100% knew I was dreaming, and I'm like, I'm dreaming. I can fly. So let's go for a fly. And then I'm like, I'm in a cityscape and I'm like, with my hand, I'm turning it into a rainforest by waving my hand. I had full control. I was painting the walls with my hand and making flowers blossom with my hand. And then the next night I was lucid dreaming again. I'm like, yes, I get to do it again. And this time I'm like, I'm going to walk through that wall. And that was so scary. Trying, because I knew I was dreaming, but there was this thing inside me like I might get stuck. But I like walk through this wall, very nervous, but I knew I was dreaming. And that was like 100% lucid dreaming control. Since then, I've had degrees of lucid dreaming where you can hold it for a while and then you lose it. But when I wake, I try to always take a moment and try and remember my dreams.
Yeah.
And then they teach you to start to journal so you can recognize signs and triggers that you recognize if you're dreaming. So one thing that I do that came from this book was I look at my hand, and if you're dreaming, your hand, it doesn't look like your hand because it's a physical thing.
Right.
So yeah, it's called Lucid. So there's two of them by the same guy. Lucid Dreaming Made Easy and Dreams of Awakening by Charlie Morley. Gives lots of techniques and strategies to teach yourself how to do it. And it's like you get to live another life in your dreams. You get to achieve things or do things that you would never expect. It's so fun. So I go to sleep hoping to lucid dream most nights.
I know, like
get to go on a holiday.
Right. It's like, what would you do if you didn't, if you thought you could do anything? What would you do? What would you do if you weren't worried about what people will say? Because in a dream, you're not worried about anything mentally, like what people are gonna say. You're worried about getting hurt, like physically. But once you realize that you are in a dream, so physically you cannot get hurt, then your mind starts working for you.
Right.
Your mind is like, yo, listen.
The gremlins are sleeping.
Right? And no one's going to judge you in your own dream except yourself.
Right.
So just let that stuff go. It is so powerful. I mean, even Paul was saying, he solved lots of problems with lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
He's giving recommendations around lucid dreaming. But the power of the subconscious, the mind, it is so powerful. When I started my business, because okay, sure, I play in Canva and this is all fun, but I geek out on like automation, sexy numbers. Business models fascinate me. Pulling people's business models.
Numbers are sexy, Sally.
Yeah, especially when they convert and then you can go and hire more staff. They are so sexy because I have employees, right? So I get to put food on other people's tables, and so I want my conversions. Also, time is precious, so automation is so awesome because it looks after business for me. I call it my staff in a box. Before I could afford staff, so I geek out on all of those things. But having when I started teaching people this and showing them how to, scale their business to 6 and 7 figures, the biggest thing that held them back was this. That little itty bitty shitty committee, the gremlin, the imposter syndrome, all of those things. It is because it's not a lack of skill set, knowledge, all that stuff. You can find everything on the internet, right?
Right.
But having a mindset coach as a staff member. She's amazing. We get clients who come in and they're so all they have to do is go live and teach people things to fill their funnel.
Yeah.
But something holds them back.
Mm.
Right? And it's just them.
Yeah.
And watching her take people through like timeline therapy and understanding that they have the skill within them to do all the things. I don't know how she does it. I went and got my life coaching certification and I'm like, I can't listen to people complain for too long. I'm like, just get your shit together. I literally have a purple whip in my office that I pull out and I say to my clients, do I need to get the whip?
Let me see it.
Oh, hang on. It's over here. Hang on. I'll have to go and find it. Hang on.
Yeah, we're gonna show that purple whip. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you said anything because I had to unplug my headphones. Here it is.
I didn't. We didn't say anything. Oh, Dan the man.
Oh yeah, baby. Off camera, maybe we'll talk a bit more. So I have this because I can't do it. She was coaching a client one day who was making all of these excuses because she lived with a housemate and she couldn't do this because she had a housemate. And everything was going to happen when she didn't have a housemate. And it was like, why can't it happen now? And 2.5 hours later, she finally realized that she can do it now. About 40 minutes in, I was like, she's not going to get it. I'm like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. But this is...
You know that movie. I don't know what the book was, in the movie, but it was the Harry Potter when they were doing the ridiculous spell, right? Where
yes.
Everything that they were scared of will come up, and then they will have to come up with a spell to just like freaking take care of it, right?
Yeah.
And it was so when you see your gremlin, when you see your imposter, when you see, dress it up. Just dress it up, right? Come up with something because that's what they did. The spell was ridiculous. So then that spider for Harry Potter, I mean for Ron, I think it was he put him in skates. So at that point, a spider in skates, you're just gonna laugh at it. You're gonna laugh at that's not gonna be intimidating anymore. Right? So for Harry, it was bigger. It was a bigger thing. He needed people to back him up. And that's where coaches come in, right? When you cannot take care of things by yourself and you have tried, you need a support system. You need to find people. You need to get people after you to help you out. So Harry was trying. He's like, I'm doing whatever I can. I'm saying ridiculous and it's not working. And then because that fear was bigger than him, right?
Yep.
So he needed get backup, but he believed that he could do it, but he just didn't know and he needed backup. And that was when the teachers came. That's where coaches come in. That's where all of these things come in to help yourself, because you could do everything you want to do. Sometimes you might need help, right? And
there's
it's okay.
nothing wrong with asking for help.
No.
I think that's what defines a lot of people who are successful and not so successful. If you speak to all successful people, I bet you they've got a coach.
Yes. For sure. You have to.
Last year, I paid $48,000 for my coach, right? Because there are things I know I don't know, right? Yep. And I think it is so important that everyone, and as a coach myself, it'd be wrong of me to tell people everyone needs a coach and you don't have a coach, because they are powerful, and community, right? And like my husband, I love him, but he cannot be my everything. I've realized this. We don't talk about business. We don't talk about work. His love language is quality time, right? So I've got to sit with him and watch him and go, you're doing a great job, darling. Oh, those plants are good. That food smells amazing. I start talking about work and he'll give me about 5 minutes and then he glazes over. He's out. He's tapping out. No strategy for him. He just wants to cook, plant things, and work on cars. My love language is words of affirmation. Just tell me you're proud of me and I'm beautiful and I'm good for a month.
100% the same thing for me. I'm like I cook food for Fulgens and he's like enjoying the food and I'm like, I want to hear
Say it,
things.
say it tastes
I'm
good.
like, I want to hear things. I'm like, but then the same thing for him because he cooked me something, right? And I'm over there. So I sat down and I'm like, okay, so he doesn't do it. So that must not be his love language, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm eating it and he's like, well, and I'm like, oh, would you like to hear some feedback?
I love that. Well, we have giving and receiving. So my giving love language that I feel that is helping people is gifts. I like to buy gifts, so my husband's, his is quality time, but his way of giving is acts of service. So before I said he puts my shoes on, he puts my shoes and socks on. I spent a very long time in a wheelchair and learned to walk and all the things. So he had to really, I was 4 months into bed. He had to wash me and wipe all the smelly bits and all of the things, but he thrived on it. Mm-hmm. When I got better, I think he felt lost because he didn't have to do that every day anymore. Right. So yeah, once I knew that about each other, I think finding that allowed me to appreciate when he does get sad because I'm not spending time with him. Sometimes I have to literally leave my phone and computer in another room because I'm not 100% there. He'll sometimes say to me, I'll be sitting next to him and I'll be like glazing through the TV or whatever room. He'll go, where are you now? And I'll be like, I'm off in entrepreneurial land. Sorry, darling. I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
We have to have this thing because the thing is like, Fulgence is like, he does his work and does his things, but like me as an entrepreneur, I'm constantly thinking of ways to bring in different services to the business, to do this differently, to network. What am I going to network? When am I going to do that? And then we're like there. And then Fulgence, on the other hand, he's looking at the signs. He's looking at this. He's looking at that. He's like checking it out. And I'm like, he's like, look at this. And I'm like, that looks great. But then I'm over there like trying to like develop a system. And then finally we're like, okay, we're putting everything off and we're just going to spend time with each other.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
That's so important as a partnership.
Yeah.
And you can't be each other's everything. We went through a hard time. Our daughter started to grow up. I got healthy. And then we realized we were actually two different people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see, when you first come together, you're like, oh, it's all rainbows and unicorns. And, it's going to be this whole romantic thing forever. I'm 20 years in, 22 years into this relationship.
Oh, wow. Listen, like, good job, Sally. Good job.
It has not been easy. There have been times through the years that I've looked at renting, right? Like, will I still be here? How much does it cost to live by myself?
For sure. Yeah.
But it when we both, and the thing was, we went and got help, just like a coach.
Yes. Yep.
We saw it wasn't working, and so we went and got therapy. We only needed 2 sessions, and we were good again. But it's that outside influence, right?
And it's those things. I mean, it does happen. It happens in life. You're doing different things, and all of a sudden, before you realize it, the 2 different things are pulling you guys apart, and you don't realize it. So all of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, we're okay. Where are we? But there's something that brings you back, whether it is like the core values that you guys had at when you first met, that after the chandelier and the honeymoon is over, those values are still there, right? Okay, good. Let's try for that. And 20 years in, I mean, come on. Like,
I know, a 20-year wedding anniversary next year. We got together in the year 2000, so it's never hard to forget. And then 3 years later, we got married. We moved in together 2 weeks after meeting each other.
Oh, my God.
I know.
That was back in the day.
Well, my mum fell in love with him straight away, and she said, you should get him to move in because he'll help you pay the mortgage. Oh my God, Paul has said after our discussions what makes him wonder what's on the other side of my room with the whip coming out. Yeah, baby. You've got to keep the spice up, seriously.
Oh my God.
Really, you do.
It's a whole other type of moderating ball.
we have somebody in our community who teaches about pleasure, right? For yourself and for others. And she's the world's #1 muse. And she helps people reconnect with themselves and connect with others. And not pleasure, like pleasure, yes, sex, but there's all these other types of pleasure.
For sure.
The funny, because in our community, it's all about the people. Like our community right now is sitting in a Zoom on my desk on the side, and they just jump in and out all day and chat and hang out and talk to each other. And we've had a couple of community members coming in and saying, Mary Ann, because of you, I'm having the best sex life I've had with my husband in years, and now I'm making more money. So,
you know, I mean, it ties in. That's what I was saying about the energy, right? Like, if you know how to guide that energy, if you can do things, right? Like,
and Fulgence is sitting there going, where are we off to right now?
Fulgence is the shyest person.
Assessing the situation.
Assessing, yeah. So this is off on tangents.
You're about to get red.
No, I'm not red. I'm just assessing.
Assessing where this conversation is going right now.
You're assessing.
Oh, wow. Gretchen says she's about to celebrate her 45th anniversary in December. All right. Well, I better make sure I hit the right one because I don't have my sound things. There we go. That one.
You gotta do the whip, Sally.
The whip. Yeah. Oh, I don't have a whip, but I should. I got the sparkles though.
There you go.
I mean, no, for real, Christian, that is amazing. I mean, like, imagine that 45 years. I mean, that's
wow.
Holy mother of God, yo, that's great.
I know, right? My grandparents, they got to 60. 60.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And back in the days, you used to get married like at 14.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I know. But the thing is one thing I really loved about watching them is that even when they were 60 and 70, they would still hold hands and walk along the beach, and like they still loved each other so deeply after all that amount of time. Actually, funny story, totally off topic. We used to go away
or no co-host.
Co-host or no. Tangents with Anna, Fulgence and Sally. So they would go on holidays every year and take me away, and I got a lot older, and Mum and Dad started flying me up to meet them in the warmer part of the country in summer, and I was sick. And so we were in a caravan. They were caravanners. Oh, we've lost them. They'll be back in a minute, or they may not be back. Okay, so that has actually stopped on a really good screen, and I just want to let everybody know that Anna and Fulgence, I'm just going to stop, take a photo of what their face actually ended on to send them. So before we came live, for everybody else out there, I'm going to leave this screen up because it actually looks really good. We lost the internet. So their studio downstairs in their apartment is actually linked to the main circuit in their house, and they've had some flooding. And they said that if we lost them, it would be because they lost the internet and the power circuit went out. So I didn't get to ask the sparkle question that I missed last time as well. They probably won't make it back in because there's a whole reset and trying to get the house up and going. Oh my God, that was such an amazing session. And the story about my grandparents will have to remind me. Maybe I'll share it another day. I really enjoyed hanging out with Anna and Fulgence. Even though they lost the internet, we probably could have kept going. But I do have another guest coming up. So we have still coming up for you, we have got Stephanie Liu joining us at the top of the hour. She's awesome. I remember going to one of her presentations at an online conference where she spoke about like 92 pieces of content that you could make out of one piece of content. So I wonder if she'll share 92 in the next one. Or I know that our topic is captivating your audience through live streaming. So we'll just see if we end up on tangents with Stephanie. But if you guys want to learn more about both Anna and Fulgence, I would recommend that you first head into the Ecamm community on Facebook. It's an awesome community. And if you're not using Ecamm, let me see. I don't even know if this is actually here. Nah, file's not found. So if you want to learn more about Ecamm, head to the Ecamm community. Reach out to me. We do have some tests and trial links and things that you can get in and play with the software. The other one is over on YouTube. Look up building blocks. Now that's how I discovered them, was through building blocks, where they teach you how to make all the pretty things around the outside, but using Ecamm. So some of these things you see in my designs are both Ecamm and Canva, but when I discovered them, it was about doing everything in Ecamm. So that would be where I would recommend that you go and find them. You can then go social stalk and click on all the buttons and find them on wherever you want to hang out with them. But they're so much fun. I do regret not being able to totally thank them and say goodbye, but I hope that they watch the end here in the replay. I had a blast. I feel like next up we need to do like a whole Ecamm Straight Talk with Sally and just get them all on, where it just seemed to get quite a few of our lovely Ecamm fan people here. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to head on out. We still have one more guest to go today. As always, never let anyone dull your sparkle, and I will see you in the next session. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel, give us some love, and like this video. I'll see you on the next one. Nobody here to dance with me this time, but I'll see you on the next session. All right, guys, have a great afternoon, and I'll be back real soon.
I will not bow down. Keep putting me off, I'm not gonna change my mind. Your headstrong forward, but this time around I'm taking my time, don't push me. I'm not coming down.